Welcome to another chapter of the Dementia Diary, a chronicle of caring. I'm your host and author, Barbara Diamond, sharing with you my true story of caring for a loved one with memory loss. This chapter is titled, Beware of Ologists. A few years ago, hubby kept asking me the name of all of his specialists. I started listing all the ologists: gerontologist, cardiologist, hematologist, neurologist, otolaryngologist, urologist, gastroenterologist, oncologist, radiologist, dermatologist, pulmonologist, ophthalmologist. That's 12 so far. In each category, there have been multiple doctors over the years, so little wonder that my memory has crashed, and when I have to pull up the name of one of them, there are really only a few of them who merit that honor. The problem with ologists, which it's a word which I know, made up. You will not find it in your Google search. I give it a capital O, since it's now a proper noun. The problem with ologists is their tunnel vision. Each has become a respected specialist in their field, but it is rare that they bother to consider the whole patient when they begin assessing a course of action. With the elderly and those who are in the throes of dementia or memory loss, an ologist needs an extra degree. It should be called a PhD in common sense. And I guess a few examples are in order. So when hubby had a growth on his scalp after a previous similar messy situation, which resulted in skin graft surgery years ago, his newest dermatologist suggested that he should have a skin biopsy to determine how serious it was. The biopsy was very painful. The result came back positive for skin cancer. The ologist said that there were two options, either radiation or surgery. Bear in mind that at that time, hubby was 93 years old. We were referred to the hospital radiation and oncology department, and they went forward full speed ahead. My questions about the suitability of hubby for radiation were poo-pooed. I asked what would happen if he went ballistic when they put on the custom mask that they make and put on his face to stop him from moving, since they're dealing with the head. And their response was, "We will deal with it at the time." And then I asked, what will happen if he can't follow or remember your instructions? They said, "We'll see." They were perfectly happy to treat hubby like any other patient, regardless of my concerns. When it became time to begin the procedure, the technician could not actually find the spot that they were supposed to radiate. So they sent us back to our new dermatologist to ask him to mark the spot. He did not know where to mark. In the process of doing the biopsy, they lost the spot. So he did not know where to mark, and he was happy, however, to take our money along the way, of course. But amazingly, he had no photograph of hubby's scalp and no graph on his records to remind him what this particular patient would need. Without knowing where to radiate, everything came to a halt. At least 6 hefty round-trip taxi fares to the doctors and the hospitals, and days devoted to a procedure which could not actually take place. I was both relieved and furious at the same time. Then there was a recent visit to an otolaryngologist, an upscale ear doctor. We made the appointment knowing that hubby's hearing has been damaged by chemotherapy. And that was years ago, and we know from tests done afterwards that because both ears were damaged in the same way, that they know it was the chemotherapy that caused it. Still, he needed his ears cleaned. That always improves his condition miraculously. We had been the hearing aid route before, and hubby had declined the offer of a hearing aid. He remembered his father of blessed memory, who would either hide his hearing aid in a drawer or turn them off when his wife would not give him the needed quiet that he wanted. Our newest ologist cleaned out hubby's ears over 2 appointments. I'm not sure why he needed to. Most people do not. But then he insisted that we go for the same tests that we had had in the past. I tried to explain that hubby would not be able to adjust a hearing aid, nor would he be able to remember any of the instructions he would be giving. There is no point to this exam, I explained. The ologist pushed and pushed. It's my job, he insisted, to have him thoroughly tested. I tried asking again, do you not understand or do you not see the issues here? Another ologist, quite content to have us schlep, and that's a great word, schlep, to appointments quite a distance away in order to set the record straight. The record needed to show that this ologist had done his personal best, regardless of what was best for hubby. I encouraged the ologist to explain what the benefit might be of additional testing, given our situation. His waffling was a sight to behold. He was on autopilot. We could have been any client. We were not unique, and he had no answers. At the end of the day, we did not do as he insisted. The gerontologist that we had been visiting for years had been very valuable over time. It was not easy to get an appointment, but they were really helpful just the same. I must say that I found out much later that the proper word is not gerontologist, it is geriatrician, but I don't know if it really matters. The only real disappointment was that after hubby had had congestive heart failure and what I thought was a heart attack that had damaged half of his heart, this ologist kindly did make a house call and looked at hubby. And when I said that I was unwilling to take him to a hospital, but would do whatever was needed from home, he suggested hospice care. The word sent chills down my back. I declined, not believing that hubby was dying. With the help of a different private doctor, we removed the excess fluids from hubby's body, and he has returned to a normal level of activity with no hospital and no hospice. Hospice be damned. I am quite sure that they would have medicated hubby into oblivion unnecessarily. Ultimately and fortunately, I was and still am in the proverbial driver's seat. Hubby lives on to enjoy another day in spite of the advice of all of the experts. This has been the latest chapter of the Dementia Diary, a chronicle of caring. For additional free resources for caregivers, please go to thedementiadiary.com. I am your host, Barbara Diamond, and I welcome you to join me again next time for another chapter of the Dementia Diary, a chronicle of caring.